Hiya, Dr. Allison JK here. Thanks for being with me. I hope all's well in your world. And feel free to like, subscribe, and share the video. We're going to be talking today about upgrades to your manifesting. It's a great time to be talking about this as we are in 2025, numerologically a 9-year, which means completions of the old and a new era beginning. And as I've been talking about for over a decade, 2012 to 2032, right? Humanity's greatest evolutionary leap. We were rounding a bend with 2025, and we're rounding a bend in 2025 as I record this live in June. We have a lot of great energies coming up for this summer, so stay tuned. Next week's video, I'm going to talk even more about that. But right now, I want you to check in with yourself and see if you can perceive this yourself. Would you say that you're able to feel more of what the energy is going on in a room, or when you're looking at buying a product online, you can feel like, is it a yes? Does it feel like a good, solid, high product? Is there good energy around it? Or is it like a flat feeling? So we are living in a more of a vibrational backdrop now as a part of the nickname for these times of our greatest evolutionary leap for humanity, humanity's awakening times. Right, I've been talking about this for over a decade. And so the vibrational backdrop we're living in has become more sensitive, has become more energetically based. We've moved out of the Newtonian physics-based paradigm where everything was much more solid, real, predictable, like you have a cue ball on a pool table. If you hit it in a certain way, it's going to get to that ball and get that ball in that pocket. Predictable. Apple dropping on Newton's head, for example, Isaac Newton. Now we're in a quantum physics backdrop, which is more about quirks and jumps and leaps, and it's all much more about energy and sudden stuff rather than the predictable, solid, real, physically based only. So you're seeing a lot more meditation apps, you're seeing a lot more yoga studios, you're seeing a lot more about crystals, right? This has become an industry now, whereas it wasn't before, and it's no longer able to be labeled as woo-woo, and if it is considered woo, then you're not up to date. So taking all of that in mind, I want you to tune into something that you want to manifest, something that you've been working with manifesting. And I want you to check in to see, does it make you go higher? Does it make you feel lighter thinking about it? And when you approach that desire with whatever tools you work with. Now, if you've worked with me in my signature program, Magic Manifestation and Money Flow, you have tools and you have had the requisite shifts too within your consciousness and subtle energy system to help you. So whatever tools you may be using for manifesting, I want you to look at, is there like a flatness to it where it's a more mental approach where you're thinking about something or analyzing something or strategizing something? Or is it more like you're here, you're present, and it's like a yes for you? Creating, because I don't really call it manifesting as much as it's now become co-creating, even more than it ever has been. Co-creating from when you're present and it's a clear yes for you, or there's a feeling that gets stirred that up levels you and uplifts you just even a little bit, or you exhale. Sorry, there's bird action over here. Wanting to bring in the animal medicine if it had any significance for us here. So if there is this sense of even an exhale or a sigh, that is relief, that's more expansiveness, that's more spaciousness. If what you're focusing on and desiring to co-create brings you that, instead of it being approached from a mental analytical space where you're like routinely going through your tools maybe and you're saying, yeah, I want to manifest double my income, and it just stays at that like rational thought level. If you're not present, more present, I don't mean to say you have to like do all of this stuff to get totally fully present, 100% present. If you're not, you won't manifest successfully. All I'm saying is that there's more, you're feeling the yes, you're feeling the desire, and it's allowing you to be lighter and more present. Those are the ones that are going to have an easier time manifesting. So before you approach whatever you're doing for your manifesting, I want you to check in with the feeling of your level of lightness, of ease, of relief, of yes, of expansion, because you could be wasting your time if you're only approaching it from an analytical perspective. Because we're talking about the world of energy. We're not talking about the world of the intellect. Yeah? And so like speaks to like. So the more, and I'm not saying in order to have more abundance in your life, you need to feel more abundance. That's not, even though you hear that all the time, that's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying here is to have more of an awareness of what you actually desire. It will have an easier time manifesting. I'm going to give you an example that is quite frequent. In my signature program, Magic Manifestation and Money Flow, out of that, a small percentage of people I get together with on a call after I've watched how they go through 3M and seen what I perceive about them and what their desires are. And we see about them possibly coming into the mastermind, my most advanced program. And that's where people get trained to become vibration upgrade practitioners and go on the incredible retreats with me. So I have had quite a few women, not men so much in this regard, but I've had quite a few women come in and say, I want to manifest my soulmate. I want to manifest my most ideal romantic partner for me. And there's a sense of, I don't have it. Why hasn't it shown up yet? Dr. Allison, help me bring him in, or her in, or whatever their orientation is. And when I've done like more and more of the clearing and activation energy medicine, and I brought more light to their system, it has emerged that what they really want is freedom. Not a relationship. And what they really want is more treating themselves with more respect and care and kindness. And it had been from the conditioning projected onto, I get that from a relationship. So their desire to manifest that perfect romantic partner or the best one for them or the soulmate was an empty request that they were projecting out and sending out, because at the same time their, what I call back of the house consciousness, their unconscious and subconscious, in their overall genuine feeling tone was, I don't desire this. So whilst they're analytically from routinely looking at our conditioning and it being a routine, and possibly it being a routine, well, what I'm getting at is it's easier to be just in the head when it's a routine use of your manifestation tools. But overall, they were approaching this manifestation without more inner awareness, and so of what they truly desire. So it was dry. It wasn't capturing energy. It wasn't capturing the universe's attention. And in fact, what was happening was the universe was hearing, why don't I have this yet? Right? So that's a whole topic that I talk about in a lot of videos that I'm not going to get into here. What I'm talking about here is, sure, it's know thyself, but it's also clearing out more of the back of the house consciousness so that you can actually get to what you genuinely feel. So you're clearing out conditioning, you're clearing out past life stuff, you're clearing out karma, you're clearing out trauma, you're clearing out parental imprints, you're clearing out past life contracts, oaths, all of the stuff that's in the vibration upgrade, clearing and activation. So that increasingly you're real with yourself and you genuinely know what you want. And I know this could sound like really overly simplified. Of course I know what I want, Dr. Allison. If you're hearing it more from the front of your head and it feels more dry, what you're asking for, then it's not going to be as easy of manifestation as when you're juiced about it, and that causes more presence, and that causes more energy and more feeling tone. You can feel the difference just even in what I just presented, right? And in the energy I'm in now. That commands more energy from the universe. It's more magnetic. It's also, I keep pointing to the heart. The heart chakra, one of its aspects, one of its many aspects is magnetism. Another one of its many aspects is receptivity. So the more that you're not just in the head figuring out that this is what you should want at this stage of your life, or figuring out that this is what I'm meant to have at this stage of my life, this type of person, this level of society, whatever, like this business owner, so I had my income be like this for now, and I want it should be doubling soon, or it should be better than it is, I should be making more money than I am. You likely also have conclusions around like, well, then if I'm going to make more money, like that level, that new higher level, I'm going to need to work harder. Or if I'm going to make that money, I'm going to need to do fill in the blank, something you don't want to do. So then your desire is much more mental. It's not, I genuinely want to be serving more people, which means more paying clients, which means more income for me. That's much more juice, and that the universe will respond to. So I'm not talking about alignment here, even though some of you may have just thought, okay, she's talking about alignment. I'm talking about getting more clear about what you genuinely want. And the way to do that is to clear more of the back of the house consciousness that's fed from all of these other sources, so that what you're actually broadcasting out there has the feeling and tone that that is what you want, and then the universe can match that more easily. So dropping down out of the head and into the heart for these new times. You can tell my tone of voice that comes from me and all the decades of teaching meditation. Pulling off of the thoughts, let the thoughts float by as if a leaf on a river, stepping out of the running river and onto the riverbank on solid ground. Inhaling and exhale. And from this perspective, you get to hear yourself more. I'm not necessarily suggesting you meditate. I'm suggesting you drop down out of the thinking mind and do whatever it takes for you to have more spaciousness, to be better tuned into your heart. Manifesting or co-creating from there is a gajillion% more powerful, and it's likely why you may be, if you're not doing that, impatient for that thing to manifest. And why hasn't it manifested yet? Stay tuned. Namaste.